All right, so Tony, you said you did not agree with what's happening. So do you feel like this is even further overcorrection? Are they maybe not, trying to stop avoiding exclusion? Now they're instead being overly inclusive.
Well, no, they're not being inclusive at all. It's actually going the other way. If you eliminate the conversation that there are boys and girls, you're codifying the idea that somehow boys and girls don't exist. It's like Ketanji Brown Jackson not defining what a woman is. Of course, that's a mistake. There are boys and there are girls. It's not wrong to say so. It's not exclusionary to make that fact, that clear fact, present in what you do. It goes the other way. And what we heard from these Disney executives was actually far more insidious. When you hear a producer, an executive producer, talk about throwing in all the gay characters they could, which have gay characters. That's not the argument. Have characters that mean something to the actual programming. But she referred to it as the not so secret gay agenda. Well, that's something that Disney shouldn't be engaged in. They should be engaged in creating great content.
Marc, I see you reacting to what Tony is saying. Tony is saying this is not, in fact, being more inclusive. What say you?
I'm finding, with all due respect, that argument to be somewhat bizarre. I mean, he's saying that by not saying boys and girls, we're codifying the idea that boys and girls don't exist. The conservative right is saying in this bill, the schools shouldn't talk about sexuality and gender, and yet somehow we're entrusting or even demanding from Disney World and Disneyland that they codify gender distinctions between boys and girls. When this segment started, they said welcome everybody. They didn't say welcome men and women. You weren't codifying the elimination of gender. You didn't say, hey, black people and white people. You weren't, but by not doing so, you weren't somehow destroying the notion of race. You don't have to identify people by their gender or their race or anything. And from what I know about conservatives, forever, they've been saying, stop calling people by their race, stop the identity politics. And yet now somehow there's a call for identity politics from Disney, of all places, the happiest place on earth.
Well, and Tony, respond to that, because, Marc does have a point there. If we're not going to call people, if we're not going to categorize people, is one of the solutions wouldn't not be, let's not categorize.
That's absolutely not the argument. The argument is there are boys and there are girls. And if we want to talk about the parental rights,
what about those individuals in the middle? It's not black and white. Many times there is a gray.
There are boys and there are girls, and that may bother some people, but it's still fact. And that's the argument. And one of the many, many arguments in here, the idea that Disney wants to somehow play to a very small, very vocal base and somehow think that that's good and that's decent. It isn't actually good and decent. It's actually excluding a whole group of people. And then to bring about the Florida bill, which is about parental rights and education, which is extremely important, which means you're not going to teach second graders about gender identity, which seems pretty rational to rational people. That is very different than saying men and women, boys and girls.
Well, and we do want to hear, we have some sound from Florida's governor, but Ashleigh, first, I assume you want to respond to this.
I still say it's all about business. And with all due respect, Tony, Disney was getting hammered by people who were boycotting them because they wouldn't take action and get loud about the Don't Say Gay bill. And then they had an employee walkout. Hold it. Hold it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Disney finally realized this isn't good for business. Our employees are walking out and our customers are boycotting us. Therefore, we're just going to go with the business model that works, and that is our customers are always right. Everyone. That's what they say. Everyone. And they say dreamers of all ages. I don't feel excluded at all by being called a dreamer of all age. And it's ridiculous to think that you're excluded by being called everyone, Tony.
Well, okay, so Tony mentioned this, obviously, bill that has become a law.
I'm sorry, Tony. Florida bill, HB 1557. Everybody's been calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. You know exactly what we're talking about. So if you want to fight semantics, we could do that all day, but it's boring.
I just don't believe in lying, that's all. I just don't believe in lying.
Oh, God. Okay, so it's a lie.
Okay,
all right.
for other people
yes, Angela, the lawyer, speak up here. Yes.
I think it's okay for other people to call the bill what other people are calling it. It doesn't need to be called exclusively by its actual literal name. So we know what we're talking about. It's the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm with Ashleigh on this one.
And it is, just to clarify, it is the Parental Rights in Education bill that is now a law. Let's talk about Florida's governor. Obviously, Ron DeSantis here. Now, he says that Disney is being dishonest, crossing the line by saying now that this bill should not have been passed. Let's listen to what he had to say.
For Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think, one, was fundamentally dishonest, but two, I think that crossed the line. This state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives.
All right. So, Ashleigh, you say that this is all about business, but was Disney late in having this response?
Yeah, and I kind of think they're admitting it. But what they saw was, again, an employee walkout and customer boycotts. And that is where the money is. And so Disney decided, you know what? It's the Floridians who are dictating this. It's not the governor who's dictating it. And I hate when governors dictate how businesses work. That's a very conservative principle. And I should say that conservatives should be very thrilled with that.
Well, another company, very famous for its politics, Chick-fil-A, has supported conservative legislation, has supported conservative politicians and lawmakers, and has stood in that, has not reversed that. So is this a case of, a company maybe going the opposite way? Business and politics, Mark, do they just not mix?
Business and politics shouldn't mix, but they absolutely mix every single day on the left and on the right. I'm fascinated. I'm just fascinated. I can get dizzy with the zigzagging that conservatives do. They, at one moment they want you to call a bill by its proper name and call policy by its proper name. Yet they started calling Obamacare, right? And they weren't like, oh no, stick to the script. We have to pull out the actual legislation. No, they called it Obamacare. And everybody does. The left, the right, we give bills.
Yeah, that's people on all sides. Absolutely.
They say we don't want corporations involved in politics. They shouldn't be weighing their politics in, but not one person on the right said anything about Hobby Lobby or Walmart or Chick-fil-A when they weigh in on politics. The truth is, everybody is fine with corporations weighing in on politics when it's their politics. And when it's not, they suddenly become purists and corporations are no longer people and everybody has to do what they have to do individually. And it's all a game here. The truth here is that the rights of people need to be protected. And Disney, I give them credit for speaking up, but as Ashleigh said, they're doing it because they don't have feelings, they have interests, and their interests are advanced by this choice.
All right, so Tony, let's respond to that. Mark brought up Hobby Lobby, he brought up Chick-fil-A. Is this different?
Well, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's an interesting point that these companies are allowed to do what they will. Notice I didn't say that Disney couldn't do it. I said they shouldn't do it. As for the proper names of things, we live in a society that wants to sue people for using the wrong pronoun. In this conversation, it doesn't say anywhere in the legislation, don't say gay. I don't think we should lie about what a bill says. That people call it something when it's a lie, we should state clearly. We should
Tony, do you say Obamacare? Because the bill doesn't say
it's a lie.
It doesn't say Obama.
Do that.
Tony, Obamacare didn't say Obamacare anywhere in the bill. Did you say Obama? Honestly, because we have records. Did you say Obamacare?
100%. I said Obamacare because it was tied to something Barack Obama was pushing his legislation. But the bill in Florida doesn't say don't say gay. So why are you saying it?
All right, so what we're focusing on right now, though, is Disney. So obviously the bill that's now a law comes into it, but I don't want us to get too far off topic here talking about Disney's response to the parental rights and education now law. So Ashleigh, you were going to say something?
Well, no, I mean, I think this is just kind of getting foolish about the semantics of the bill. Let's talk about what the bill actually stands for and the spirit of it. I think we can all agree what the meaning behind the bill was, whatever you want to call it. And I think that the truth, I feel like this is just a foolish argument. The free market dictates what companies do, not radio broadcasters or news anchors or cultural leaders. They do where the money goes is where the decisions go. And I think that's what Disney's doing on this one. And it is a conservative way of thinking. And I love the fact that they're saying, stay out of my business. My business is my business.
Well, the last question here before we go to break. Angela, do you think Disney will, in fact, take a hit to this? Are people going to boycott Disney?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we've seen already that there was some pushback, but overall, I'm proud of America. When I look at what's going on in Florida, I look at them and I see, look, the governor has done what he's supposed to do. He listened to his constituents. Disney's listening to its employees and its customers. And we will see if there is a boycott, then Disney might again change course. And that's what America's all about, democracy and capitalism.
All right. Well, Tony, I know you are not for this at all. Making any plans to go to Disney this summer with you and the family?
I won't be going to Disney this summer, only because I just can't afford it. Us radio guys don't make the TV money.
All right, Tony, thank you for that. All right,
you know
everyone.
what? I got to say, listen, the bigger battle is anyone on this panel and anybody watching, try having this argument with your kid. You want to boycott Disney? Well, good luck at your dinner table.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.